Hello all, and welcome to the pre-recorded virtual breakout room focused on the NASA 4-H Virtual Science Sessions web resource. My name is Tiffany Sessions, and I'm a 4-H educator here in Douglas-Sarpy counties in Omaha, Nebraska. In this breakout session, we will be reviewing this pre-packaged lending resource developed by Nebraska 4-H in partnership with NASA. This resource was developed through a grant awarded at the end of 2020 to provide formal educator partners as well as informal educators who take advantage of the Douglas-Sarpy 4-H School Enrichment Program with free virtual space and earth science content that has been adapted to align with NGSS and Nebraska Science Standards for Middle School. In this breakout, I will provide an overview of resource contents. We will review 5 themed lessons and supplemental items that are available via our website. I will share evaluation pieces developed, and then we will walk together through the website where I will give tips on how to best navigate the resource after you register. As discussed previously, these supplemental resources are free of charge and include the following: 5 exciting NASA lesson plans for activities. These lessons highlight resources from NASA Science Mission Directorate as well as the Human Exploration and Operation Mission Directorate. They align with NGSS and Nebraska Science Standards for Middle School. And in middle school here in Nebraska particularly, there's a strong focus on guiding youth to understanding space and Earth systems. So these lessons very much meet that demand. The resource also provides 1 to 2 videos per lesson of a 4-H youth development professional facilitator walking you through the activities. Pauses are built in so that you can work at their own pace to complete each activity. Also, materials highlighted are for needed documents and all that good stuff are listed as well. The materials list consists of simple items that can be found in or outside of the classroom, as well as can be found at home. For local educators, there is an option to check out supply kits. So if you're interested, at the end of this session, I will provide my contact information. Feel free to reach out to me and we will coordinate how we can best get those resources out to you. There are also supplemental documents available and options for youth without access to individual technology devices. These supplemental documents include worksheets, demonstration aids for learning and practice, and then career connection videos, as well as additional learning resources. And we also have evaluation, which I'll go over a little bit later, because we really want to continuously improve this resource. So we developed an evaluation for both youth to ensure that they are learning the standards that are needed for their age bracket, and then also are helpful for educators. So there's another evaluation tool for educators so that you can give us your feedback on your experience in using the resource. Much like the Texas State NASA Educator Professional Development Collaboratives Quick Fits, which are PD for teachers and other educators, the NASA 4-H Virtual Science Sessions was developed for self-guided learning where you can follow the facilitator on video through each activity. The first lesson we're going to go over is the aquifer lesson. This lesson is broken into 2 activities. In the first activity, youth will learn about the distribution of all the water in the world. This gives them a better idea of how little water is actually available for consumption. They will learn about the 6 places where water can be found: ocean, ice, groundwater, lakes, the atmosphere, and rivers. Then they will use a brainstorm worksheet to draw what they think an aquifer may look like. After drawing their ideas, they will use a clear cup, water, sand, gravel to create their very own aquifers. This activity brings to life how water tables work and how ponds are created. The second part of the lesson allows you to read a short article surrounding the politics of water. It addresses why some places have more water than others and how this leads to water issues between countries. This lesson also has a thoughtful reflection questions, ways that youth can apply what they have learned to their daily lives, and additional related activities. By the end of this lesson, students should be able to explain how aquifers are formed and explain why groundwater resources are unevenly distributed. The second lesson is the erosion lesson. In this lesson, youth are going to learn about erosion as well as solving the mystery of the Carved Canyon. They are provided a Carved Canyon casebook where they will create predictions, they'll draw canyons, they'll learn about two different types of canyons and how they are created, and then they'll get to use simple materials such as a foil pan, sand, rocks, ice cubes, water, and paper cups to create their own canyons. And then they'll talk about what they see as the canyon is formed and as the ice cubes melt on the canyon. As you see on the left side of my screen, each activity has a description, grade levels in which it addresses, standards that are addressed, of course, and then supplies needed. The next lesson is the seasons lesson. This lesson too is broken into two parts. In the first part of this lesson, you will learn about the Earth's position in relation to the sun throughout the year by watching a demonstration using a sun, earth, and moon model. They will also learn key concepts highlighting the Earth's axis, the equator separating the northern hemisphere from the southern hemisphere, and more. Through learning about these concepts, youth will be able to explain why we have seasons and why some places on Earth have bigger temperature changes between their seasons than others. After watching the demonstration about the Earth's position relative to the sun during specific times of the year, youth will be challenged to predict the position of the Earth during spring and fall. Once youth have grasped how the Earth moves throughout the year, they will be charged to look up the average temperature of major cities around the world. If your youth do not have access to technology, you may assign them cities highlighted in the Cities Around the World fact sheets, and you see an example on the left side of my screen here. These fact sheets were created as supplemental resources to ensure that all youth would be able to participate in this activity. Once youth have located the average temperature for each month for their assigned cities, they will need to graph the temperatures and make connections between the Earth's position during each month in relation to the sun. You see an example of that as well on the left side of my screen, my graph on the graph sheet. And then once you have graphed their temperatures, they're going to make connections between the Earth's position during each month in relation to the sun. In the northern hemisphere, the southern hemisphere, or around the equator. As you see, my example city is Quito, Ecuador, and it is located right along the equator. And so temperatures are pretty steady across the year and mild. To make this activity even more engaging, have the youth complete a gallery walk of each other's graphs. Tell them to think about where in the world each city may be located. By the end of this lesson, students should be able to explain the relationship between the Earth's axis and the seasons, analyze the graph with average temperatures to predict where the city is located in the world. The next activity is the Engineering Design Challenge, focused on hurricane-proof buildings. In this lesson, you will learn about hurricanes, natural disasters that can be devastating, producing winds over 74 miles per hour and causing floods if they hit one. They will also be challenged as civil engineers to use the engineering design process to construct a building design using simple materials that produce a building that is at least 10 inches tall and can withstand the force of a small fan on high. Working through each step of the engineering design process, youth will brainstorm, develop solutions, create prototypes, test, and go through the iteration phase or improve their designs, as well as share their final product with the class upon completion. By the end of this lesson, students should be able to use the engineering design process to create a fun tower. The final activity in the NASA 4-H virtual science session is the moon phases lesson. In this lesson, you get to investigate how the position of the sun, moon, and earth change what we see when we look up into the night sky. Youth will begin by brainstorming everything they know about the moon on a brainstorm worksheet. And then they'll guess why the moon looks different at different times. Then, using paper plates, brass brats, crayons, and pencils, you will create a moon phases wheel dial that can be used as a study guide in class as they learn about the 8 phases of the moon. This cost-effective activity is definitely a youth favorite. To extend this activity, you can use the moon observation sheet, which is a supplemental item that has been developed, to record the appearance of the moon each day for the entire month. After the month, they can discuss firsthand how the phases of the moon change. As discussed before, we have created evaluation tools. The youth evaluation is a 16-question Likert evaluation tool that assesses science interest in thinking and perception of learning experience. Since this is virtual, we want to make sure that they perceive their virtual learning experience as effective as being in the classroom setting. It's also designed using the National 4-H Common Measures Science Program, as well as the Virtual Learning Survey Instrument. It is a one-time administration, so it could be completed at the end of your desired lesson. If you decide that you only want to use one lesson out of the NASA 4-H virtual science sessions, then you would administer the survey to your youth after you completed the administration of the lesson. If you decide to use more, again, you'll administer after you complete all of your desired lessons. And this is online via a Qualtrics form and is available via our resource once you gain access to all of the elements. The second evaluation is for educators. We are seeking to continuously improve this resource and make it user-friendly for you as the educator. It is created using the Likert evaluation tool with a retrospective questionnaire focused on content, knowledge, and practices, and then your perspective as the educator on topics covered, accessibility of the resources, and resource effectiveness in teaching the topics that are covered. It is designed for continuous improvement. It is completely anonymous, so your name will not be divulged in the process. And it's, again, like the one-time administration. So it's completed at the end of all of the desired activities that you seek to use in this resource. It, too, is online via a Qualtrics form available online. Now, let's take a trip to the actual resource and see how it works. So as you see, this is our homepage for the NASA 4-H virtual science session. It starts with a brief description of the resource and all that it supports. Then as we scroll down, we see lesson details. There's details for each and every lesson. So if you click on the lesson, you'll get a brief description of the lesson, the grade levels that are addressed, standards, and supplies that are needed per youth. You'll also see that over to the right here, we have a sneak peek, as I'd like to give you a little taste of what you'll get if you register for the entire resource. So we have a video here. I'm going to play just the beginning part so you can kind of see what that looks like. And then we'll take a look at the lesson plan and worksheet for the erosion and weathering activity.
Hello scientists, it's Scientist Claire with the Science Mystery today. Our mystery is how are canyons formed? Today, we're in Wildcat Hills in western Nebraska. This is a series of canyons that are formed in a very similar way as our experiment. We are going to start by looking at two pictures of different canyons. Although these are both canyons, they are formed very differently. After we solve our mystery, we will look to see how these two canyons were formed. For this experiment, you're going to need our casebook, a blank piece of paper, a foil pan, some sand, rocks, and water. Gather all of your materials and we'll get started solving our mystery.
So you see the pause is integrated into the video, and then the list of materials needed to complete this next part of the activity is listed here on the page so that your youth can gather them or you can disseminate materials as needed. I am now going to click on the lesson plan worksheet. And you'll see that it shows the whole lesson plan. So the length is about 45 minutes. It works best for 7th grade or 5th grade. And then you have all the objectives, materials, preparation pieces, and then any related or fun additional materials that you might like to add to the activity once it's complete. As we scroll down, we have instructions on how you, as the educator, can facilitate the activity yourself should you decide not to use the video. There's also vocabulary to go over. And then you also have reflection pieces, and then how what has been learned can be applied to their day-to-day life. So that's pretty much the layout of the lesson plan. Let's go back here to our home page. I'm also going to click on a worksheet here. And this takes us to the Carved Canyon Casebook. So the youth, again, will start by writing down what they know, and then we'll talk about what they're going to be learning about. They'll write what they think will happen, predictions. They'll draw what happens to their canyon as they create it. And it's a really fun book that they can use to guide them through their activity experience. And it makes for good discussion for the lesson. So that's our sneak peek of the erosion and weathering lesson. If we click on that, we also have those pieces there. Now, if we scroll to the bottom, you'll see that if you're local, I do have a few kits left, so you can reach out to me by email, tiffany.sessions@gmail.edu, or by phone, 402-444-7869, to see if I have any kits available for the activities that you would like, and I'm more than happy to lend those out. Also, here's your registration link. So you click on that if you decide that this is something that you want to learn more about and see the other activities. I'm going to quickly put my name, last name, email in, the state that I'm from, whether I'm an informal educator, the name or the organization that I'm associated with, any or all of the grades that I'll be working with using this resource, the estimated number of youth that I plan to engage for the sake of the and then the percentage of youth participants that qualify as underserved. And this includes minority, female, low income youth. I'm about 75%. And then I'm going to click next button. So you see you'll receive like a thank you prompt. It'll have a link that you will receive an automatic email sent to your email that you put in on the previous page there with the link as well. So you'll have access to both places. I'm going to click on the link. Now, before we get started with the lessons, there is a read before starting program PDF that you're going to want to click on. This gives you instructions on how to best use the resource. There's general information on the activities, the program layout, the focus of the contents of the folders that you've seen. So each theme has a folder, And the resources are organized by educator teaching resources and youth activity documents. And it tells you the different items that you can find in each of those folders. You also will find a tip, though the lesson can be used asynchronously or in isolation as needed. It is highly encouraged that educators consider using all lessons in order. But it's completely up to you how you want to use them or whether you want to use one or all. There's also some information on the evaluation folders and how to best use those, and of course my contact at the very bottom. Let's back over here to our general folder. And if you see, you'll see the various lessons: aquifers, hurricanes, hurricane-proof buildings, seasons, and lunar phases. I'm going to click on the aquifers lesson here. And we have our educator teaching resources. We have supplemental documents that are in this folder, the lesson plan. We also have 2 videos. They're the same video, but they're provided in 2 different platforms. So we have Media Hub. And if you have any difficulty accessing Media Hub, you can click on our YouTube link as well. There's also a water map that you can print before the lesson and have it up in the classroom for the youth. With that, for the youth documents, it is worksheets that they're going to be using, as well as the Politics of Water article that they'll be reading this lesson and discussing. So those are the youth documents, and you can print out as many as needed for the youth that are in your class. So that is pretty much the layout of all of the lessons. We try to make them as user-friendly and as easy to navigate as possible. Once you've completed your lesson or lessons desired, you'll go to the Evaluation Resources tab, and then you'll see that there's NASCA evaluation instructions that you can click on. It's a document similar to our Read Before Starting document. Kind of goes over general information, evaluation types, when to administer, how to administer, what the contents are, all that good stuff. And again, my contact at the bottom. It is not required that evaluation is administered, but it would be really wonderful if you can have your youth take the survey, give their feedback, and that you as an educator can get some feedback for our continuous improvement plans. So right here we have the facilitator evaluation URL and then the youth evaluation URL for you to access as well. So the use of the resource should be fairly simple for you to use. I'm going to navigate us back to our PowerPoint here. We're going to wrap it up. So here we have my contact information, Tiffany Sessions, my phone number, and again, my email is tiffany.sessions@unl.edu. I hope that you enjoyed the session and that you learned a lot from the resource that is available online for you to use at your leisure. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have any additional questions, if you'd like to check out a kit, if you're in the Omaha metro area, and I hope that you enjoy the use of the resource. Enjoy the rest of the Get Connected conference, and see you soon. Bye.